Years ago, it was only one-piece swimsuits that were shot full of holes to tempt predatory males, and the missing parts of the swimsuit would be the sides or midriff sections. Maybe swimsuit manufacturers just want to save money on cloth. But nowadays, I can't open up any daily newspaper without seeing some bimbo in a slingshot bikini which plunges so low there's nothing left to hide. Other lingerie is made of transparent fabric or shot through with so many holes, some cat must have chewed it up. If a newspaper can't sell copies unless it publishes smut to keep customers abreast of current events, it's a dirty shame. It would be great to find an intelligent daily newspaper without all those half-starved chicks bearing their buns and boobs. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 strippers in the paper. Occasionally you'll see a bit of flesh on their bones, which is okay so long as it makes men salivate like a dog with a pork chop. After all, what else is a woman's body good for? One picture featured a close-up of big bumpers bursting out of a tight thong. Another sexpot bared her gigantic jugs as she and her lover illustrated the most momentous scoop of the year. Since lockdown ended, adulterers are making up for lost time and extramarital affairs are skyrocketing. It's become fashionable for heavily pregnant women, especially celebrities, to show off their bulging belly in a string bikini. Haven't they got any self-respect, or do they have puppy fat for brains? At a time in their life when women should carry themselves with some modicum of dignity and decorum, they tromp around like Big Mama in a whorehouse. Satan wants all women, even Christian ones, to advertise their wares like hookers. Where are all the page 3 men? Men are too dignified to degrade themselves that way. No man would be caught dead showing off his big beer gut in that sleazy section of the paper. Talk about double standards. Men know their own intrinsic value as intelligent, educated, sane, rational individuals, but women haven't made much progress since they started hollering about equal rights half a century ago. They still torture their feet in high heels and starve on diets, so men will get the hots for them. Women still strip off their clothes to please male authority figures who still view women as dim-witted sex toys. But you don't have to buy some dull daily newspaper to get a well-rounded education. One day I was sitting in a taxi watching some interaction between a woman and her kids across the street at some bus stop. She was big as a sumo wrestler, but dressed in tight spandex. Well, she bent down to tenderly admonish her children, something like this. "Stop it! You better do what I say right now!" When she was carrying on bent over like that, you could see all of London, France, and every location in between. Years ago, my mother made fun of the fashion trend for baggy low-rider jeans that drooped lower and lower as the kids who wore them boogied down the street. She said it looked like their bottom was falling out and they needed suspenders. Many think that the genteel manners and decorous dialogue in Jane Austen's novels are ridiculously prudish. But considering the crude, rude banter between guys and gals today, I tend to suspect those old-fashioned manners set badly needed boundaries and served as a buffer zone to protect vulnerable females from male animal instincts. Think of it. Can you imagine Mr. Darcy singing, "I want your sex," to Elizabeth Bennet? Even goofy Mr. Collins would show more courtesy than that. Men bear their share of the blame for the deterioration of moral standards, but to be fair, bimbos lead them on by showing lots of skin in strategic places. Women gripe about society never taking women seriously as full-fledged human beings. They complain there aren't enough well-mannered gentlemen around who treat them like ladies. Women say men don't care about their inner qualities, but some women don't act like they've got any character traits to respect. They advertise all their assets under men's noses. They wonder why males act like dogs in heat. These cheap tarts will even hold open the top of their skimpy shorts to treat newspaper readers to a sneak preview, or they go into reverse and flash their bumpers. For them, working out in the gym has far more to do with tempting men than getting fit. During the 2020 Olympics, the Norwegian women's beach handball team got fined for wearing shorts instead of the required bikini bottom. I had no idea you had to run around naked to score in a ball game. But then again, PE never was my best subject. To defend their right to choose their own gear, female German gymnasts wore full body suits while performing, just like their male counterparts. They drew fire from the top brass, who evidently wanted to see more flesh. If that's what they were really after, wonder why those judges didn't just go to a strip club. Wonder why the male competitors weren't required to perform in their birthday suit, just like ancient Greek athletes did. One major news story is about widespread abuse suffered by British gymnasts, all allegedly under the age of 12. Power-crazed coaches would starve these children of both food and water to keep their weight down before competitions. The young athletes are petrified of being put on the scales. Gaining even an ounce or two results in public fat-shaming and cruel insults. There have been cases of sexual abuse by physical trainers. One coach sat on top of a 7-year-old to force her to stretch her body out further. Coaches would yell at, spit at, and slap the children. One common punishment would be to force them to stand on a parallel bar for 2 whole hours. Coaches refused to let these bullied children have toilet breaks. They would weigh them every day, resulting in emotional problems and eating disorders. Such tyranny results from the cruel cash for medals culture surrounding athletic competition. Satan uses an unattainable standard of so-called beauty and perfection to oppress women, girls, and even growing children who need proper nourishment, loving care, and positive reinforcement. But really, the very idea that adults think they've got the right to torment and bully children because they don't look and perform like Superman and Wonder Woman. At a time in their lives when children are prone to be terrified of criticism and painfully self-conscious, this is an abominable way to treat developing children. It can leave permanent scars on their psyche and create complex self-esteem issues in later life. One famous talent scout who was always on the lookout for new pop stars said he couldn't stand having to work with girl bands because they can be so bitchy with each other, always arguing about who's the skinniest. My Lord, if that's all they've got to worry about, they should get down on their knees and thank God that they've even got the choice whether to eat or not, because a lot of people have that choice made for them. They starve to death because they can't afford food. But these bubbleheads think that the world revolves around them and their skinny bodies and the fact that men are going to get the hots for them and buy more of their music. To think that these sort of shallow entities are worshipped by the young just about as much as Christians worship God in church. Today's toxic dieting culture isn't about fitness and health. It's about bitchy women competing with each other to get the hottest studs in the sack. Thank God for the mute button on my TV remote. One evening I counted at least a dozen diet commercials, and it wasn't even the New Year's season when we're perpetually plagued by endless idiotic diet ads. If they aren't pestering you about getting cremated after you croak, they're pitching some revolutionary meal plan that will not only help you leave a fat-free carcass when you die, but change your life for all eternity and bring you everlasting peace and joy. Bulltwinkles! Nobody gets or stays unnaturally skinny without lifelong starvation and brutal, sweaty exercise. Hard-working women have to eat just to give them the energy to make life easier for everybody else. You can't run a car on empty, but women are constantly being told they're grotesquely ugly and have to shrink themselves into a starving stop sign. Otherwise, they don't deserve to take up a few inches of space on this earth. Straight, sleek, shiny hair is by far the most popular kind of hair today, but it is a hereditary trait. Baby blue eyes are a hereditary trait. And guess what? A string bean figure is a hereditary trait. What we look like is a hereditary trait, plain and simple. Contrary to the rubbish rammed down our throats on TV, God loves variety in His creation. Yet the tall, lean, Scandinavian look is the only acceptable beauty standard in America and Western Europe. But starving yourself to stay a size 0 and struggling to keep shiny, limp hair is lying to yourself about how God made you. That's as foolish as a white guy toasting his hide in a tanning booth to convince the whole wide world he's really a black dude. God loves variety. I have 3 cats and they're all different. God isn't going to send Blackjack to hell for looking like a Halloween cat. In the Bible, especially the Old Testament, insufficient food intake was associated with sickness and death, and sometimes the judgment of God, not health and life enhancement. There are quicker ways to kill yourself than slow starvation. Studies have shown that 95% of all diets fail over the long term. Why? The human body cares far more about its own survival than looking like a supermodel, and it will drastically slow down its rate of burning calories to protect its vital organs from starvation. The human body has a self-preservation instinct, so it will struggle hard to stay the same size. That's why some folks can eat next to nothing and still be bigger than a naturally thin person who eats much more. Women weren't born hating their own bodies. The fashion and diet industries brought this about. Big diet feeds off the insecurities of women who know nobody gives a flip about their inner beauty. The oppressed woman tortures and punishes her own body so she'll finally earn the right to allow her life to blossom instead of feeling like she lacks confidence. The negative way the money-hungry mass media programs healthy, full-grown women to feel. This indoctrination is evident in virtually every diet commercial where some airbrushed bimbo says, "I'm finally getting my confidence back." Well, who stole it from her in the first place? Regaining self-esteem invariably means I've dieted down to skin and bones, so I'm no longer a sack of garbage who can't get laid. Now that I'm half the woman I was, I'm a sex goddess instead of an ugly freak nobody wants to hit on in some bar. Contrary to the sexist, misogynist mass media, which teaches women to be scared of and fight their own bodies, thin doesn't automatically equal healthy. To someone who's ever had to beg a sick loved one to eat enough to stop losing weight and go on living, body-shaming diet commercials are a disgusting outrage. Weight loss is the sacred cure-all for every human affliction under the sun. The more weight you lose, the less scared you'll be of life. Weight loss cures every affliction from hay fever to jungle rot. Only skeletal waifs are allowed to feel good about themselves. Weight loss is the way, the truth, and the life, the Western world's most sacred religion. Even Christians have made a religion of weight loss because they can't do any signs and wonders to heal the sick or defeat the real booger man. So setting people free from the devil's food cake at the cafeteria is equivalent to setting them free from Satan in a whorehouse. Something has to fill the vacuum to keep the crowds pouring into church with fat offerings. So-called self-improvement programs, along with prosperity heresies, constitute modern churchianity. Heavens! It's not worth dragging your dead carcass out of bed for religion that doesn't reward you enough for sacrificing your sleep on Sunday mornings. Worldly churches don't have much else to offer a world looking for answers except for so-called self-improvement programs. The less a woman weighs, the more precious she is to God and man. Weight loss brings you joy and peace, so you don't really need Jesus to give you those things. So you can just skip the awkward repentance bit. Weight loss transports your spirit to heaven, even if it's only in your delusional, narcissistic, self-obsessed mind. Food is the enemy Satan used to be, the sin that will damn your soul to hell for all eternity. Religious fasting advocates teach that you can't defeat Satan till you bully your own body. All you need is fresh air and lots of prayer to turn you into a spiritual powerhouse. If self-starvation makes you a miracle worker, every anorectic fashion model should be able to empty hospitals and raise the dead. God isn't pleased with your stewardship of your body if you pig out every day at the booger joint and fry all your food in hog fat. But does the Bible condemn tasty, high-quality food as being sinful, or is that just self-righteous religious tradition? When angels came down and visited Abraham, did Abraham serve them diet shakes or kill the fatted calf for them? Before the development of vaccines, dieting was promoted as the answer to COVID-19, just like it's been praised as the answer to every other human affliction under the sun. During lockdown, dishes to ward off COVID kept popping up in Sunday newspapers. Some of those recipes are loony and you can't even find the ingredients. What time-pressured woman working 2 or 3 jobs is going to shop for and create a crabgrass Siberian rosehip salad with Tasmanian tofu dressing? If dieting eliminates sickness Food deprivation should have wiped out every illness in history. Going hungry didn't prevent millions of European peasants from dying of the plague during the Middle Ages. Body shaming is every bit as much of a human rights violation as bullying people who aren't white, blonde, and rich. When God runs his people factory, he doesn't mass produce everybody the same, but bigots persecute diversity. Only naked bimbos get any respect from the male-dominated mass media. How abominable those naked newspaper sluts whose greatest life ambition is to lead as many men as possible to hell. It's high time they brought back modest swimsuits like the ones they had back in 1900. If modern women wore those colorful creations to the beach instead of swanning around 99% naked, male swimmers wouldn't try to hit on them and would let them swim in peace. Satan is the master puppeteer pulling the strings of this fallen world. Consumers are effectively being remodeled to fit the products promoted by Babylon, the name the Bible assigns the world's big money system. Babylon's products need to be matched up with paying consumers. As old Bill Shakespeare might say, all the world's a corporation. Weight loss programs, drugs, and prepackaged mini-meals need to be sold to as many people for as long a time as possible to keep the fat cats rich. The mass media aren't happy unless there's some booger man to be scared of and make money off of. Food is the big killer. Alcohol and cigarettes used to be. Even fresh grapes and bananas are a no-no because they're too sweet and make the body crave bigger sins. Only limp lettuce makes you beautiful. Know what? One of the sweetest things about heaven is the diet police won't be there to slap your hand when you pick a snack off God's trees of life.